or tune it in the sun. This is TFM. Get ready to rock. From AM to PM. Come on. Let's talk.
TFM 95.4.
Let's talk.
Live on TFM and the TFM Facebook page. This is the live feed of TTV. Let's talk.
Hello and welcome to the Midday Update. These are the top headlines from our newsroom today. Night lockdown to begin in the Sultanate from today. Checkpoints to be activated between governorates. COVID-19 symptoms can last for months. Urgent appeal made for blood donations in the Sultanate. Visitors from some countries need not prepay COVID test fees online. In Myanmar, 114 civilians killed in deadliest day since coup. Africa's COVID-19 cases near 4.17 million mark. France confirms over 42,000 new coronavirus cases and 190 deaths. Oman submits application to host 2023 Hockey World Cup. Ronaldo throws captain's armband, storms off pitch after being denied goal. These were the top headlines for the day. Let's see how the weather condition looks like in the Sultanate in our weather update.
This is Maytha Shukeli with today's weather update. And at the moment, I'm standing outside the TFM studio in Al Khuer. Before we move on to weather, here is our fact for the day. Different colored moons happen due to the changes of the atmosphere. But as the saying goes, it happens once in a blue moon. That is our fact for the day. Now join me inside the studio and we will move on to weather. An alert has been issued by Oman Meteorology and Civil Aviation Authorities saying that there will be poor visibility due to dust rising winds and fog formation. And there will be mainly clear skies in the Sultanate with chances of late night to early morning, low-level clouds or fog patches over the parts of South Al-Sharqiyya, Al-Wusta, Al-Buremi and Al-Dhahira. And now let's take a look at how the weather will be like in all the governorates. Muscat will be sunny, temperatures between 28 to 26 degrees Celsius. Musandam will be sunny, temperatures between 32 to 24 degrees Celsius. North Al-Batana will be sunny, temperatures between 38 to 25 degrees Celsius. South Al-Batana will be sunny, temperatures between 39 to 26 degrees Celsius. Al-Buremi will be sunny, temperatures between 38 to 18 degrees Celsius. Al-Dhahira will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 41 to 19 degrees Celsius. Al-Dakhiliya will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 40 to 23 degrees Celsius. North Al-Sharqiyya will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 40 to 20 degrees Celsius. South Al-Sharqiyya will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 37 to 26 degrees Celsius. Al-Wusta will be sunny, temperatures between 40 to 21 degrees Celsius. And Dhofar will also be sunny, temperatures between 26 to 19 degrees Celsius.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. Now, before we get into the details of the local stories for the day, let's see how the COVID-19 situation looks like in the Sultanate today. The Ministry of Health officials has announced the registration of 11 death cases due to coronavirus in Oman today. This has taken the total death toll in the Sultanate to 1,661. The Ministry of Health officials have also extended their deepest condolences. Moreover, the health officials have also announced the registration of 2,249 new coronavirus cases in 3 days. The total cases in the country have now touched 156,087, including 142,420 recoveries and 1,661 deaths. Now, according to Ministry of Health, in the past 72 hours, 1,654 recoveries were also reported. The ministry has urged everyone to adhere to social distancing instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and the Ministry of Health. And now from a local desk. Starting from today, people living in the Sultanate will not be allowed to venture out of their homes starting from 8 p.m. until 5 a.m. The decision to impose the ban, which is expected to last until Thursday, April 8th, was taken by the Supreme Committee to deal with COVID-19 owing to an alarming daily surge in coronavirus cases an increasing number of patients admitted to hospitals, intensive care units, and a spike in the number of deaths. Some activities have been exempted from the night lockdown regulations, which include transport of healthcare personnel, emergency vehicles involved in electricity and water services. Even private hospitals as well as pharmacies can continue to function as regulated by the Ministry of Health. The operations at seaports and airports can continue while trucks of all types from 3 tons and above and wastewater tankers have also been exempted from the ban. Factories can operate while loading and unloading operations can be carried out inside, but employees must stay on their premises. Fuel stations will remain open as regulated by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion in coordination with the marketing companies. Employees working in press and media organizations, both public and private, whose job requires them to be at work during the ban period, will be exempted, and the Ministry of Information will provide them with the required permits. With health experts predicting the period from April 1st to May 31st to be an extremely tough stage of the pandemic's development in the country, the Supreme Committee was compelled to take these measures so that things do not worsen in the coming weeks. The Supreme Committee will take a series of tougher and more comprehensive measures that might culminate in a lockdown and a total ban on movement during the above-mentioned period, said the government body in a statement. Aside from the movement of people being restricted, commercial activities are also not allowed to operate in the country during the above times. To make sure they stay open for customers longer, many shops in Oman have taken the decision to open early and close before the lockdown begins. We are here for you, open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. from March 28th to April 8th, said a statement from a popular supermarket chain in the country. Restaurants, which often close between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., will also stay open during this time to help cater to customers. Remaining open in the late afternoon and early evenings help us serve more customers, said the owner of an eatery in Muscat. In the evening, many people, once they leave work, might not have the time to come and buy food from us before going home. They can therefore place their orders early and pick them up in the afternoon if they wish to. In keeping with the decisions of the Supreme Committee, we will not be offering delivery and takeaway service after 8 p.m. either. All of our operations will shut by 7:30 p.m. and our last orders will be at 7 p.m., he added. All classes for students attending government schools will continue online, with the exception of grade 12 students who will remain with the blended learning system. This might change on the basis of the epidemiological situation in the country. Talking on the lines of the lockdown that starts from today and will last until April 8th, the Royal Oman Police in the Sultanate said it will install security checkpoints between governorates as the Sultanate gear up to impose night lockdown in the country. In an interview with Oman TV, Major Muhammad Al-Hashami of Royal Oman Police said, "To prevent movements, we will be installing security checkpoints between governorates." The night lockdown will come into effect from Sunday, March 28th between 8 p.m. till 5 a.m. The lockdown will end on April 8, 2021. He said that the owners of the shops must take into account their employees at the time of attendance and departure so that they do not make the mistake of entering at the time of the night lockdown. He continued saying that passengers must prove their travel tickets while they are traveling from the airport to their homes or vice versa, and they are allowed to have only one escort to drop them off or receive them. Now, a small section of people infected with coronavirus continue to show symptoms of the disease even 3 months after they were first infected, a doctor at the Royal Hospital has said. These symptoms were seen when the people in question underwent follow-up PCR tests after they were first diagnosed with the disease, said Dr. Faryal Al-Lawati, a senior consultant of infectious diseases and the head of the contagious disease unit at the hospital. However, she added that it was difficult to determine whether these symptoms were due to the coronavirus or any other disease, and advised the authorities concerned to take up increased monitoring measures and intensive studies. Al-Lawati said that many cases of infection are inadvertently imported by arriving passengers who fail to comply with home quarantine or institutional isolation. She explained, quoting her here, "This behavior has been the main source of new, doubly mutated and rapidly propagating variants of the virus. The tragedy is that some of those who get infections and experience respiratory system inflammation symptoms still mingle with others instead of isolating themselves. There is a concern that we might reach a stage where we will be unable to provide proper care to coronavirus patients if the numbers of infections keep rising. Also, full focus on coronavirus patients will deprive other patients who need health services," said the doctor. Although the Ministry of Health is preparing more facilities to accommodate increasing numbers of coronavirus admissions, the doctor is also concerned that they might eventually run out of room to provide additional health care because their capacity to do so is limited. She added that after the country had seen a drop in COVID infections during December 2020 and January 2021, there has been an alarming increase in cases numbers since February. Al-Lawati also added that more than 50% of people admitted because of COVID-19 to ICUs suffered from respiratory complications that made them dependent on respiratory equipment while in hospital. Lastly, speaking about whether or not a patient might contract COVID-19 twice, Dr. Faryal Al-Lawati said that 2 studies recently published by medical journals, one in the US, the other in Denmark, show that infection with the disease for a second time is possible. The Department of Blood Bank Services, commonly known as DBBS, has appealed to donors to donate blood urgently at the central bank in Boshire due to a frequent shortage of all blood groups. A statement issued online by DBBS said, "To ensure sustainability of safe blood, the DBBS requests the honorable donors to continue their generosity and make a regular voluntary donation, blood platelets. The department humbly informs the valuable donors that there is a frequent shortage of all blood groups at the Central Blood Bank in Boshire. Blood donation times are from Saturday to Thursday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and on Friday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The time limit for platelet donors is 5 p.m. Please book your appointment to donate blood via WhatsApp at 94555648, the statement said. Now, people arriving to the Sultanate of Oman from 7 countries will not need to prepay their online registration fee for a PCR test on arrival, but will still need to sign up for one and pay for it when they land in the country. The following 7 countries are exempted from online payment, which includes Iran, North Korea, Russia, South Korea, Kenya, Ghana, and Nigeria, said Oman Airports in a statement, also adding that, however, pre-registration is still required. Children below the age of 16, if traveling unaccompanied, are exempt from institutional quarantine, which is otherwise mandatory for others coming into the country. However, they're still required to isolate at home for a week. The country's Civil Aviation Authority and Oman Airports, in keeping with guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health, recently published a circular on the procedures different categories of passengers needed to follow both before leaving for Oman and on and after arrival into the country. Minors who are traveling with family members, though, are required to stay in institutional quarantine for 7 days on arrival. Children also do not need to take a PCR test either on arrival or after 8 days and do not need to wear a tracking bracelet. Adolescents between the ages of 16 and 18, however, do still need to take both tests as well as submit a negative PCR result taken at least 72 hours prior to their departure. Expatriates and their children must also carry the required COVID-19 health insurance, although this does not apply to citizens from the other Gulf Cooperation Council countries. Those who arrive into the country with a letter from their sponsor that confirms they will be accommodated in quarantine facilities approved by the Ministry of Health can also skip hotel bookings, provided they agree to isolate in these centers. Regular passengers are required to hold a confirmed hotel booking on the Sahala registration platform, a negative PCR test, health insurance where required, an online registration receipt for their COVID test on arrival, and must agree to follow all preventive measures to stop the spread of coronavirus once they arrive in the country. This was all from a local desk. It's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more updates coming your way from our international desk. It's about time we kicked COVID-19 out of our lives. Join us on TTV Outline every Monday and let us learn how to fight COVID together. Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. And now from our international desk. At least 114 civilians were killed across Myanmar on Saturday as the military junta continued to crack down on peaceful protests, CNN reported, citing Myanmar Now. The killings in 44 towns and cities across the country would represent the bloodiest day of protests since a military coup last month. Among those killed is a 13-year-old who was shot in her house after the junta's armed forces opened fire in residential areas of Mektila. State television had said on Friday that protesters risked being shot in the head and back. Despite this, demonstrators against the February 1st coup came out on the streets of Yangon, Mandalay, and other towns. On February 1st, Myanmar's military overthrew the civilian government and declared a year-long state of emergency while detaining civilian leaders, including state councillor. The coup triggered mass protests, which were met by the junta's deadly violence. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the UN office in Myanmar spoke out against the violence. The number of confirmed cases across Africa has reached 4,167,350 as of Saturday evening, the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, commonly known as Africa CDC, has announced. The Africa CDC, the specialized healthcare agency of the African Union, said the death toll from the pandemic stood at 111,561, while 3,735,535 patients across the continent have recovered from the disease. South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, and Ethiopia are among the African countries with the most cases in the continent, according to the Africa CDC. In terms of caseload cases, Southern Africa is the most affected region, followed by Northern Africa and Eastern Africa regions, while Central Africa is the least affected region in the continent, according to the African Health Agency. African countries have so far received more than 26 million coronavirus vaccines, both from the COVAX facility and through bilateral agreements outside COVAX. France confirmed on Saturday 42,690 new coronavirus cases in the country in the period of 24 hours, pushing its cumulative total to 4,508,575, according to the latest official data. The number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 rose by 17 to reach 27,259, while 25 more critically ill patients were put on ventilators, raising the cases in intensive care to 4,791. As of Friday, a total of 7,519,740 people in France, or say 14.3% of its adult population, had received at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose, while 2,653,261, which is about 5.1% of the adult population, had received both doses, the Health Ministry of France noted. The coronavirus claimed 190 lives over the last 24 hours, bringing the total toll to 94,465, the government website showed. The number of people hospitalized with coronavirus rose by 17 to reach 27,259, while 25 more critically ill patients were put on ventilators, raising the cases in intensive care to 4,791. This was all from the international desk. Once again, it's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned for more updates from our sports desk. It's about time we kicked COVID-19 out of our lives. Join us on TTV Outline every Monday and let us learn how to fight COVID together. Welcome back to TTV, watching Midday Update. And now from a sports desk. The Oman Hockey Association has announced that it has submitted an application to the International Hockey Federation for hosting the FIH Hockey World Cup 2023. Scheduled to be held in October the same year, the event will see the participation of 16 men and 16 women teams. Talib bin Khamis Al-Wahibi, who is the chairman of the board of Oman Hockey Association, said that the OHA has received the approval of the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth on the application for hosting the event. Oman would prepare for the full dossier related to hosting the event and all aspects related to it, he said. The application for hosting the event is an achievement to hockey sport in the Sultanate, which deserves hosting one of the major championships, he said in a statement to Oman News Agency. In his statement, he also praised the support of the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth, along with the support of the application by all officials of the ministry. Fumed over being denied on a goal in the final moments of the game against Serbia, Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo threw his captain's armband on the floor and stormed off the pitch before the final whistle. During the World Cup qualifier on Sunday, Diogo Jota scored twice in the first half, putting Portugal 2-0 ahead in the game. However, in the second half, Serbia managed to level the scores with the help of goals from Aleksandar Mitrovic and Filip Kostic. In the dying minutes of the match, Ronaldo saw his effort was cleared by Serbia defender Stefan Mitrovic after it had crossed the line. While his strike was deemed to have not crossed the line, the television replays showed that the ball had clearly crossed the line. Ronaldo demonstrated with the linesman before he was shown a yellow card. Juventus star then walked off the pitch and threw his captain's armband on the floor. With Ronaldo's goal being ignored, the match between Portugal and Serbia ended in a 2-2 draw. With this news, we have come to the end of the episode, but stay tuned as we'll be back again tomorrow with Fighting COVID segment your way. So keep watching TTV.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.